welcome to the 2023 BIFA Craft Categories announcement. BIFA celebrates the best and the brightest in independent film in the UK for one more year, and what a year it's been. My name is Ella Kemp. I'm the London editor for Letterboxd and a writer, critic, broadcaster and photographer. I'm joined this morning by Omari Douglas, a BAFTA and Olivier-nominated actor who you may recognise from It's a Sin, Constellations, Rye Lane, and many more. Omari, how are you doing today?
I'm very good. How are you doing? I'm very excited to just fangirl over some British independent film.
I've been waiting a long time for this. What else would you want to do with your Monday morning?
Yeah, exactly.
Historically, BIFA announces the craft winners separately to spotlight the amazing role that craft plays in filmmaking. We are so excited this year at Letterboxd to be partnering with BIFA to go live, to celebrate these artists and also give you loads more to add to your watch lists if you might not be familiar yet. The last few months of Hollywood strikes have even further solidified both the necessity and also the brilliance of below-the-line creatives on film sets. There is really no better time and place to honour them, so without further ado, let's get into it.
So our very first award is for Best Casting, and it is sponsored by Casting Society and Spotlight. The nominees are Shaheen Baig for Scrapper, Carmel Cochran for Rye Lane, Carleen Crawford for All of Us Strangers, Isabella Adolphin for How to Have Sex, Salome Ogunfuss, Geraldine Barron, and Abby Harry for Earth Mama.
Omari, tell us about your relationship with the casting director as an actor.
Yes, so casting directors have a really sort of meticulous job of sort of bridging relationships with actors, directors, producers, but I think specifically for the actors, they're responsible for sort of like pre-production and sort of getting into that process, and so they're responsible for making you feel comfortable in the room, and they also have the ability to just be great judges of just sort of like people, energy, characters. They're responsible for like a lot of on-screen relationships and chemistry, and sometimes sort of before those people even get to meet. So yeah, they're very, very, very important people.
Yeah, I think that's really felt in a lot of our nominees today. I want to shout out the sort of tight-knit communities that are built through Earth Mama, which feels completely lived in, and it's quite a surprise and very moving to obviously know that that's not the case. Another example, I want to shout out the 300 extras in How to Have Sex who were all hand-cast one by one. That film was shot off-season in Malia.
I genuinely thought that they were just genuine holiday makers that just happened to be there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, great work. And so, our winner for the BIFA for Best Casting, sponsored by Casting Society and Spotlight, goes to Isabella Adolphin for How to Have Sex. I have to say that it was just like terrific work. I couldn't help but just like Google as I was watching that film. Just kind of the believability of that kind of like energy of that time when you're 16 and you're sort of going on those holidays. I never did one of those holidays. I was like too nervous to do that. But I can't believe that Mia is 2026?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as someone who went on that holiday in Tenerife in 2014, I can vouch for the authenticity. It is astonishing what they achieved with this film. So congratulations to Isabella. On to our next award. The next award is Best Cinematography, sponsored by Harbour and Kodak. And the nominees are Olin Collody, Rye Lane, Susie Lavelle, The End We Start From, Molly Manning Walker, Scrapper, Jamie D. Ramsey, All of Us Strangers, and James Rhodes for Femme. Now, you can't see this, but we are currently in the stunning screening room at Shoreditch House. Imagine how good all of these nominees would look on the screen just behind us. What's the best looking film, technically, that you've seen recently?
I am going to shout out to Olen's work on Rye Lane. There's this kind of like sort of sweeping like kinetic energy, I think, that's sort of like as you move through the film, you're constantly like moving with the characters that you're seeing on screen, and it sort of adds to this kind of like vibrant sort of like chaoticness of like where they are. It's just such amazing work.
Yeah. I feel like that kind of similar energy to what you're saying. You know, the kinetic feel, the chaos of it all is like so deeply felt in Femme. I think for fans of the Safdie brothers film Good Time, there is a lot of similar feeling in that, a lot of similar look. Another recommendation I want to say to fans of The Last of Us, I think The End We Start From will really hit hard for that one. But for now, the BIFA for Best Cinematography, sponsored by Harbour and Kodak, goes to Jamie D. Ramsey for All of Us Strangers.
Woo.
Congratulations, Jamie. I think the cinematography in this film is so deeply moving. The way that sort of families and lovers and very empty and lonely buildings are all lensed is it's very emotional. And I think a detail in this film as well, look out for director Andrew Hay explaining how they shot the sequence in the mirrored elevator. It is quite a technical feat in terms of cinematography. Jamie was a cinematographer on previously BIFA long-listed titles, Mothering Sunday, Living, and She Will.
On to our next awards. And it is the award for Best Costume Design. And our nominees are George Buxton for How to Have Sex, Oliver Cronk for Scrapper, Buki Ebiesua for Femme, Cynthia Lawrence-John for Rylane, and PC Williams for The End We Start From.
Omari, I've been waiting a long time to ask you this. Can you please talk us through the costume design for It's a Sin? It was absolutely glorious. How much does it really help you slip into character?
I think it's such a important part of any sort of process for kind of storytelling, just because it feels like a mask, and sort of depending on what the process is, you can come into sort of costume at sort of any particular given moment. I've been in processes where you kind of get into it straight away. That might be like a theatre thing, or just sort of in pre-production, on a shoot. It's a really sort of collaborative, quite intimate moment as well. I worked with an amazing costume designer called Ian Fulcher. And I sort of keep talking about collaboration, but these are the sort of the finesse, those sort of fine details that really inform the way that you can sort of slip into a character physically. And I think we see so many of those details in our nominees today.
Honestly, there's one I want to shout out, which is Scrapper's Lola Campbell, because I think when you see her at the ceremony on December 3rd, you might not recognise her if she's not wearing a football shirt like she is for the entirety of the film. Honestly, the power of acting and the power of costume design.
Absolutely. And our winner of the BIFA for Best Costume Design goes to Buki Ebiesua for Femme. Yeah, massive shout out to Buki, because those I think for both Nathan and George, actually, those transformations are really extraordinary. I was loving those mesh moments that Nathan was getting to wear, and also I just felt that it was a really great example of costume becoming sort of part of plot and symbolism as well, because that yellow hoodie, no spoilers, is very, very important.
I think about it all the time.
Yeah,
haunts
exactly.
my dream.
Yes.
But for now, on to our next category. It is Best Editing. And the nominees are Jonathan Alberts, All of Us Strangers, Victoria Boydell, Rylane, Paul Carlin and Bobby Wine, The People's President, Avdesh Molla, High and Low, John Galliano, Artu Salmi, The End We Start From. Good editing can really bring a story to life, as you will tell if you are watching this on YouTube or in the reel later and not during this live. But in the films that are nominated today, you can jump through time and places and make connections that are otherwise just completely impossible. An editor could, for example, Omari, swap out some of your 4 favourite films if you change your mind after we have filmed them. So that's a word of warning for later, but also
pressure.
A reassurance for you.
So for me, editing wise, I think something that really stood out for me was I was really moved by sort of the use of time in How to Have Sex, actually. I think you're sort of led to believe that you're sort of moving through something chronologically. And again, no spoilers, but I think as sort of time starts to shift in the film, it sort of makes for something that's really kind of quite guttural actually, and just sort of thinking about like memory and time and the way that we perceive time and stuff. It's quite isolating actually. Yeah.
It's very gripping the way it's used in Malia, but it's interesting seeing the way that it's used very differently in different nominated films in London. I think the way that all of the different train journeys sort of bleed together in All of Us Strangers. I also take that train very often, so the way it's edited in here looks, you know, very dramatic, which I love. And also how South London looks so much bigger and faster in Rye Lane, but also, you know, exactly the way that we know it as well. Editing. But anyway, for now, the BIFA for Best Editing goes to Jonathan Albert's All of Us Strangers. By the way, I'm loving this round of applause. I think this is the drama. It's fabulous.
There's 100 people in it.
There is. You just can't see them. They're all out of shot. They don't go to this school. This is Jonathan's 4th project with Andrew Haigh after Lean On Pete, 45 years and looking.
On to our next one, aren't we? And it is the award for Best Effects. And our nominees are Paddy Eason for Polite Society, Theodore Flo Honenbaum for The End We Start From, and Jonathan Gales and Richard Baker for The Kitchen.
I'm really excited about this category because I think when you think of best effects, it can often... You want to be on very large-scale projects with big explosions and sci-fi, which is amazing when it happens. But, you know, a lot of the times the best effects are the ones you barely notice, the ones that transport you to another place and transform that place without really even realising.
I was very surprised the other day. I was watching a clip when Susie Wakoma and Morfydd Clark were talking about sort of being resourceful in independent cinema, and Morfydd was talking about when she was filming Saint Maud, and that to do some like levitation scenes they were using scarves, and there were like crew that were lifting her up with scarves, which is like so crazy, but again just a testament to sort of the resourcefulness that you sort of need for making these kind of films.
Honestly, the power of British independent cinema. And I think also, again, you know, we keep talking about London, but it's important. So many of our nominees and the films that aren't nominees are set in London, and, you know, still find ways to transform it and take us to places, even if you've lived here all your life or just visited, it looks brand new. So, without further ado, the BIFA for Best Effects goes to Jonathan Gales and Richard Baker for The Kitchen. Okay, next up. The suspense here. I hope you're all enjoying this with the cards and the microphone. Our next award is for Best Makeup and Hair Design. The nominees are Zoe Claire Brown, All of Us Strangers, Claire Carter, Polite Society, Marie Dean, Femme, Natasha Laws, How to Have Sex, Bianca Simone Scott, Rye Lane. So, Omari, I'm going to put you on the spot here again, and I don't want to embarrass you, but I think we have to talk about your character in Rye Lane when it comes to makeup and hair design. What was that process like?
Let's talk about the mullet.
Please.
So, my shoot on Rye Lane was it was just a few days. I was sat down the first day with Bianca. She was like, how do you feel about a mullet? I was just kind of like, yeah. And I sort of needed to be like torn apart to like leave that mullet. I don't know where the mullet is now. I hope she's okay. I think she's okay. She's great. But I just hope that she's in a safe place, that she's being very well looked after. But yeah, on a sort of more serious note, like it was, again, those moments that kind of like finesse and sort of like they are those sort of really sort of important sort of delicate details that just sort of like help you to define whoever that you're embodying. And that process in particular was just really, really, really wonderful. Yeah. I
want to shout out two nominees in particular, just because I think in Polite Society and How to Have Sex, there are two very different versions and visions of teenage girls and the rituals and traditions and forms of self-expression that you desperately want and need to find at that age, and that you can kind of only reach when you've got very, very good stick-on gemstones.
And the BIFA for Best Makeup and Hair Design goes to Marie Dean for Femme. again, I sort of love this this sort of occurrence of like actually being able to see the process of like makeup going on for like some of these characters. I loved those kind of like backstage moments for Nathan and Femme of just sort of seeing how he transforms into Aphrodite. Amazing.
She's stunning.
Yeah, she is.
Amazing. Congratulations to Team Femme. On to our next category.
Yes. Our next category is the award for Best Music Supervision. And the nominees are Kira Elwes for Femme, Connie Farr for All of Us Strangers, and David Fish for Rye Lane.
I am so excited about this one as well because I do not know anybody who would not rave about a perfect needle drop. If you are skimming through letterbox reviews of any film that has any music, it will just be the name of the song and then like 5 stars and a heart. And I agree. I have to shout out one of our nominees, Kira Elwes, who really achieved that with her work on I May Destroy You. And also another film not in contention, but truly perfect. I think the release of Romi's song Strong over the credits of How to Have Sex is very moving. Omari, what's your favourite recent needle drop in memory, which shows really, the work of a brilliant music supervisor?
I'm going to shout out to Kira's work on I May Destroy You Again. That moment when Arabella is like doing that storyboarding in her room and Stand on the Words, That's How the Good Lord Work comes on. I was just like, whoa, in that moment. So like unexpected, but just brilliant. I have a friend who sort of throws a lot of house parties, and that song is like always there. It's like just such a tune.
And you remember it from that film as well, when
Completely.
It is done like as perfectly as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. So without further ado, the BIFA for Best Music Supervision goes to Connie Farr, All of Us Strangers. Connie is no stranger to British independent cinema as a music supervisor on True Things, BIFA winner Alien Ava, After Love, Rocks, and also on 45 Years and Lean on Pete with director Andrew Haigh. Okay, and we're going to stay in the same realm for our next category, which is Best Original Music, sponsored by Universal Music Publishing Group. And the nominees are Adam Janota Bivzowski, Femme, Patrick Johnson, Scrapper, Quez, Rye Lane, Anna Meredith, The End We Start From, Ray Olonuga, Girl.
So I think that very little kind of helps you get into the world of like a new story sort of with music. So it's kind of like another strand of the storytelling, and it just sort of helps to like elevate the narrative. It's sort of bringing feelings to life, and that could be whether it's like the world of a drag queen putting on a show for her royal disciples, or a 12-year-old girl inviting us into her universe.
100%. I also love the work of Anna Meredith on The End We Start From, which is so surprising. And I say that because I know that lots of Letterboxd members in particular will remember this. Her work, her first ever film score on Bo Burnham's film 8th Grade. The range is outstanding.
The range. And our winner of the award for Best Original Music, which is sponsored by Universal Music Publishing Group, goes to Quez for Rye Lane. And even more brilliant, because this is Quez's first film score.
Good for him.
Imagine, BIFA on your first film score. Vibes.
What do we got next?
Next up, we have the award for Best Production Design, and it's sponsored by ATC and Broadsword. Our nominees are Laura Ellis-Cricks for The End We Start From, Sarah Finlay for All of Us Strangers, Eleanor Montoni for Scrapper, Nathan Parker for The Kitchen, and Anna Rhodes for Rye Lane.
Production design really is one of my favourite things in a film, because I think you can sort of transform a space and achieve the feeling of home like no other medium, I feel, but also really recreate unknown landscapes with very little. And familiar ones as well. I think, we talk about how London is transformed all the time, but it really is in this film. All of Us Strangers, that tower block, it's very hard to understand which part of London, is it a new build, what kind of lease is going on, what is the structure, all of these things, production design. And future ones in The Kitchen that might not exist yet. But also, council estates that we have seen countless times in film but have so much colour in Scrapper.
Yeah, totally. Like, I sort of love how you can sort of like redefine spaces that people think that they know. And I think we saw that in, with the beauty of South London and Rye Lane. And also this sort of like apocalyptic atmosphere that we got from the end we start from. So it's a very beautiful London crop of nominees.
We'll keep saying it because it's still true.
Yeah.
Okay. The BIFA for Best Production Design, sponsored by ATC and Broadsword, goes to Nathan Parker for The Kitchen. This is Nathan's third feature as production designer after Gia Coppola's Mainstream and Rangano Nioni's I'm Not a Witch. We're on to our last award.
It's gone so quick.
Where has the time gone? Okay, so our final award to announce today is Best Sound, supported by Halo. And the nominees are Ben Baird, Jack Wensley, Adam Fletcher, Alex Eve Mungersdorf, Scrapper, Steve Flanagan, Nikos Konstantinou, Levi Mercurio, How to Have Sex, Joachim Sundström, Per Bostrom, Stevie Hayward, All of Us Strangers, Mark Jenkin, Ennis May, Jens Rosenlund Peterson, Amy Felton, Joe Jackson, Tim Cavagin, Laurie Dovey, The End We Start From.
I think we can see by like the number of nominees there, like just sort of see how important it is and sort of how collaborative sort of it is to create brilliant sound design. Of course, we're last but not least here. And as I speak into the letterbox microphone right now, this lovely letterbox microphone, you can see the logo here, in case you haven't seen. We know that we'd be nothing without good sound design. It's really important as much on red carpets as it is in theatres. And I think sound gives us clarity. And again, it's finesse and beauty.
100%. And I think, we saw this in your work in Constellations and A Little Life on the Stage. It is really in every kind of room and every kind of space. Sound is the thing that gets you in the moment immediately and keeps you there. And it can also create connections, I think, across folks that might not otherwise be in touch will be able to, say the things they need to say. We see that in Scrapper and All of Us Strangers in terms of those family members, but also the sound of the booming bass in the club in Malia in How to Have Sex is a whole other type of sound design.
Which I have to say is, I think, just a bit of trivia there for anyone who doesn't know already. Most of those scenes, I mean, just from my experience, when you're doing a party scene, you are likely to hear the track once on a playback. And then all takes after that, you are literally dancing to nothing. So it's like
terrifying. People
moving at like multiple tempos, and then of course it's all the beauty of the edit and just sort of the sound being put in post. So you're
so brave.
We are. And our winner is, for our final award today, the BIFA for Best Sound, supported by Halo. It goes to Mark Jenkin for Ennis May. And this is Mark's second feature as a director, and it's his first feature as a sound designer. Believe it or not, he was also the writer, cinematographer, editor, and composer on the film, which is just like a feat that just goes beyond me. It's amazing. And
I mean, when you see the level of detail in the film and the places it goes to, very extreme places, it is an enormous achievement.
Totally.
Congratulations to Mark. That's it. That brings us to the end of our announcement today. Omari, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Shoreditch House for having us. Thank you to BIFA for letting us do this on Letterboxd. It is such a joy to be here. Thank you to everyone for tuning in. And if you're watching this on YouTube or in the reel, thank you for staying through to the end. It is very important, and that's the only way that you can log something, is if you've watched all of it. Tune in to the BIFA Instagram feed on Sunday, the 3rd of December, to find out the winners in all the other categories and the red carpet highlights. For full information on the craft winners, head to bifa.film, and you can find out where to watch the winning films at watch.bifa.film. And of course, after that, don't forget to log and share your thoughts on Letterboxd. I've been Ella Kemp.
And I've been Omari Douglas.
Thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy your day.
Thank you.